Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really powerful philosophical concept out of Korea. It suggests that there's been a fundamental shift in how our entire society works, and, well, most of us haven't even noticed it's happening. The source material we're digging into today kicks off with this really provocative idea. What if humanity has just crossed a massive historical turning point? What if all the rules that have guided us for centuries just don't work anymore? So this new era has a name, the Age of Operation. And according to the source, getting a handle on this shift is absolutely critical. Because continuing to think the old way isn't just outdated anymore, it's actually become dangerous. Okay, so let's get right into it. To really understand where we are now, we first have to get a clear picture of the world we're leaving behind. For most of human history, we've been in what the source calls the Age of Growth. You can see the breakdown on the left. The focus was simple: get more power, more knowledge, more stuff. The method was basically just trial and error, and the goal? Just get stronger. But here's the kicker. The central argument we're exploring is that this entire period, it's over. Now, this idea is fascinating. It's suggesting that societies, kind of like people, hit a point of maturity. We've built up all this incredible power, economic, technological, intellectual. Just trying to get more isn't the point anymore. The real challenge, the new question, is what are we supposed to do with all this strength we've built?
So if the age of growth is in the rearview mirror, what's next? Well, this leads us to the second key point from our source, the very real and very present danger of having all this power without a new rulebook on how to actually use it.
The speaker we're drawing from argues that many of our core institutions, we're talking governments, religious organizations, giant corporations, they've essentially finished their growth phase. They have accumulated unbelievable amounts of power, influence, and resources. And this quote it nails the central problem, doesn't it? When you've got all that power concentrated in one place, but you don't have the wisdom or the principles to guide it for the common good, you don't get progress. You get a total mess. So instead of using their strength to serve everybody, the source claims these powerful groups start to turn inward. They get caught up in fighting over control, over status, and over resources inside their own walls. The focus shifts from their original mission to just self-preservation. And we've all seen this, right? The speaker would say, this is what happens when a political party cares more about winning the next election than actually governing. Or when a huge company gets so bogged down in bureaucracy that it completely forgets why it was created in the first place. They're no longer operating for society, they're just operating for themselves. Okay, so if our old systems are failing to make this shift, who's supposed to lead us through this new era? Who's going to guide the way? The source then asks this really pointed and kind of scary question. As all these institutions start to struggle, where are the leaders who actually know how to navigate this new age of operation? And the answer it gives is just as blunt. There is a massive leadership vacuum. And you got to ask why. Because our systems have been designed for decades to train growers and builders, not wise operators. We've taught people how to get power, not how to use it for the good of everyone. To really drive this point home, the speaker uses this incredible parallel from Korean history. Right after liberation, there was this sudden power vacuum. All the experienced administrators were gone. So what happened? The new government actually had to rehire some of the old functionaries from the previous regime simply because there was nobody else who had the skills to operate the country. The argument is, we are in that exact same spot right now, but on a global scale. So all this brings us to the proposed solution. I mean, if the old rulebook is useless and we don't have the right leaders, we can't just sit around and hope things get better. We have to write a new one. The source lays out a pretty clear 3-step plan. First, it starts with the brain work. We have to actually research and define what the principles of this new era are. Then, that knowledge has to be shared far and wide through education. And finally, and this is the big one, it's going to take a collective, grassroots effort from all of us. So look, the crucial point here is that this is not a spectator sport. It's not about waiting for some perfect leader to show up and fix everything. The responsibility lands on all of us to actively take part in this shift, to learn the new rules and start putting them into practice. And that brings this whole huge idea right back down to you and me. It forces us to ask ourselves, how am I using the power, the knowledge, and the resources that I have in my job, with my family, in my community? Am I still just stuck in that old mindset of growth?
Or am I making a conscious choice to operate for the benefit of the people around me? That's the real question the age of operation leaves us with.